Welcome to another solo show. This is sort of based on some of the discussions I have had with people on the podcast. Today I wanted to look at one of the things that I think artists, musicians and creatives have a problem with, and that is actually how to make something financially viable out of what they do. So I've called these, what are the problems? And I wanted to start off with an idea which can be sort of encapsulated as this: if the problem is big enough and the solution good enough, then you have the potential for starting a successful business. So this is a point that was raised in an interview on the podcast with Brett Slazenger. And he was the guy who set up the successful Drum Café, which was a sort of a drumming circle that he would take around to different, well, obviously it started off as a community initiative, but he moved it into the world of business. See, artistic people tend to start from another place, and that place is from the viewpoint of it being a hobby, and then we try to make it a business from that. Unfortunately, what we often end up with is that we're still making decisions based on our hobby. So from the viewpoint of a hobbyist instead of an entrepreneur. And I think this is really important for us to get our heads around. If we're going to make money, we need to think like an entrepreneur and see opportunities which are solutions to somebody else's problem. Now, money is it should be an unemotional commodity if we use it in business. And the decisions are based on a detached state, which is not the same as the state of mind if you're a hobbyist. You know, we buy something because it makes money either directly or indirectly in business. And we do not buy it because we want it. Is a transactional coinage for the emotional aspect of what we're supplying or resolving. So the person who's got the problem, there's often an emotional aspect to that, but what we're supplying shouldn't really have. Now you can see that's a problem in the arts, because the arts is dealing with emotion and feeling and all the rest of it. But the thing is, if somebody desires to see a play or or a film, or they desire to have that latest album, that's in the transactional bit. So it is actually really difficult for artists to be unemotional, or to have something that solves a problem without some sort of serious creative thinking. But the thing is, the clues are out there. So in a nutshell, although we are selling to an emotion, we should not be emotional. So a lot of my teaching work caters for younger people. And anywhere from the age of 8 up to the late teens, is a big aspect of what I do. And of course, they're not actually paying for the lessons, it's the parents or the grandparents. So a lot of parents see music as an important aspect in life, and it may be because they were unable to do something that they wanted to do with music, or they had some experience of music that they want to pass on to their children, as well as getting them away from the computer screen and the Xboxes. Which actually brings me back to Brett's comment about his business, because ultimately the problem he was addressing was to get people in big conferences off their screens and their iPhones and be present in the room. And what a what a better way than to be drumming with several thousand other people sometimes for half an hour or an hour. He was saying that it's really difficult when you get to your chair and there's a djembe sitting on the chair. You have to move the djembe, stick it between your knees and sit down. And then, of course, if everybody else starts drumming, you can't be on your phone. And then, of course, you get the sort of groupthink that sort of kicks in. If everybody else is drumming, you might as well do it as well. So, interestingly, as he was saying, his problem was solving screen time. He was saying how much money somebody like Microsoft would be paying to get a load of people to turn up to a particular conference, and then to have them sit there on their phone. So anyway, for us then, there's obviously no quick fix to how to spot a problem. And if there was, of course, everybody would be doing it. So you have to keep your eyes open and see what's out there. And see what you may have a solution for. So the things that spring to mind for me are enabling young people to pass exams, guitar exams, obviously to help people learn to play the instrument, but also to develop their skills playing in a band, which is obviously what Blues Camp became. How to write songs, which again we do in Blues Camp. And also I'm interested in the health benefits of music. So when I started playing music, the thing that drove me was a sense of identity, something that set me apart from the other kids. I looked at people who could play, and I thought they were really cool, and I wanted to be like that. And I'd already realised that I was artistic, and I was also a really good chess player, but I wasn't good enough to become a sort of, a grandmaster. But for some peculiar reason, I thought that there may be an opportunity for me as a musician. If I was playing contemporary music, sort of rock or blues guitar. And I think the psychological aspect of that then started to kick in for me and became very important. And I think it's important for you to consider that as well, because it opens a completely different set of possibilities. So if you think people with mental conditions or learning difficulties, music can be very beneficial, also enabling them with to be able to see the world in a different way and to embrace the world through music. And I think that's an important consideration. So I've dabbled with the psychological implications, and I do something called magical songwriting, which is introducing people to the weirdness that can happen when we create, strange synchronicities and weird links and odd meetings of people. And a lot of this is explored on the podcast, when I interview people about where their breaks came from and what set them on a different path. And it occurs so frequently in conversation. And this all aids creativity. So I think the thing to consider there is, what's the problem? You know, and sometimes looking at your own problems gives you a sort of a window for things that you might see out there. Because often, if you're having a problem with something, you're not the only one. So, what is your problem? Until next time, I'll see you then.